All right, let's have some fun, magical people. Welcome. Let's talk about magical practices, do's and don'ts, spell work. Oh, there's a whole long list of questions that we got going on here for this VR to Raven Flowers video. These questions are super fun, and as we go along, you should be answering them yourself because they really make you think like, have I really thought about this one? I don't know. Are you in or out of the broom closet? What are your real practices that are keeping you alive? How do you keep yourself sane? It's all in these questions, and they're a lot of fun to answer. Number 1 and 2, do you believe in New Year's resolutions? Why or why not? So actually, no, I do not like New Year's resolutions. I tend to be a person who's really present tense, and I feel like who I am is evolving so much that it's really important for me and my magic and my practice to check in periodically, and actually a lot, and to really decide what I need to do and be and work on in those moments. So I think kind of like on the Sabbaths and the lesser Sabbaths around that time of the year, I tend to do check-ins and kind of look at where I'm at, who I am, how I'm evolving, like what needs to change in my practice. And, almost monthly, I feel like I need to check in regularly. And whenever I do this like New Year's thing, it just doesn't work for me. It doesn't happen. And it feels very defeating to make these big resolutions. So I do at the beginning, beginning of the year, like around the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere, I do tend to kind of make a big check-in and see how I'm doing, and then I just keep moving on that way. How many of you out there make New Year's resolutions, and do you keep them? Do you think it's really a practice that works for you? I feel like magic is something so spontaneous for me that, it just doesn't work with my practice. Number 3, what's your favorite color or colors? Orange. I love orange. So those flame colors, the salmon orange that leans more towards pink, fiery orange, turmeric sort of oranges. I love the color orange and how it makes me feel. I've always been drawn to it, and it has really interesting connotations. So that's number 4. Does this color hold emotional or magical meaning for you? Definitely emotional meaning. To me, orange is about perseverance, and I think this says a lot about who I am, that I really value perseverance. I really value the ability to keep going, to keep trying. I may have an Aries sun, so I'm just like a never say die person. Never say die. And so I feel like orange is something that's highly invigorating. And as far as color magic goes, I feel that color magic is something that's deeply personal, and each person should make their own correspondences. I'm going to do a quick plug. I do have a color magic printout for your grimoire where you can do just that, where you can journal on it and then, make your own correspondences. That's down below. It's free. But for me, orange is that color that I use. It's vibrancy, it's creativity, it's that ability, it's that color of the phoenix, that phoenix rising from the ashes and all of the stages in between. So it's about creativity, and I just love it. I have it in my house on my wall. I've had it in every house I've had, and I just absolutely love orange. Numbers 5 and 6, do you use substances for divination? Why or why not? And that could be like flying oils, I guess any substance is what they're talking about. I think the short answer is, as far as what I would say, body chemical altering substances, no. Cannabis is totally legal in our state. I'm just going to be totally transparent here. I think I smoked enough of that when I was young for several lifetimes, and I do not dig it. I really love sobriety. I really love the magic of being myself and being in the moment and being present with what's here for me. So no, I do not use body-altering substances for the purpose of divination. I do nature resets, and that's my own kind of drug. I will read cards, tarot cards or oracle cards with friends at a party after drinking a little bit. I've never read when I'm drunk. It's not my thing. I don't particularly vibe with substances or alcohol. I really like being in my body. I didn't when I was younger. I really had a lot of trouble being incarnated. Even as a kid, it was very difficult for me to be housed in this body. But the older I get, the more I really enjoy it. And so I really enjoy being sober. I do use oils, and I make oils and I have oils, and I use those for the purpose of setting a tone. I will drink tea, and I will use herbs and tea to create a mood. So, I do have that I do. I guess that makes me, I don't know, is that kind of conservative? Maybe it is, but I just really enjoy being completely present in my body with nothing altering that, so that I can really zone in, really focus in on what's happening and what's becoming out of me, because I really believe that the universe is within me. And so I'm having that reflection outside of myself. So that's kind of the skinny on that one. How about you guys? Hey, you guys, I want to stick this in here. As always, I have free PDF printables down below that you might want to check out. But also, I want to invite you to my March journaling challenge. It's going to be super fun. So maybe you want to do magic journaling, maybe you want to do tarot journaling, maybe it's just personal journaling. But when you sign up, I'm going to send you some free prompts and cool ideas for journaling, and it's just a month-long challenge. So sign up for that by clicking the link down below in the description box. And you can take your journaling practice to a new level. Number 7, what's your favorite part of your practice? For me, that has to be communing in nature and just the downloads that I get and the magic that I perceive all around me in nature. My favorite part of my practice is communing with nature and really just receiving that way and giving and feeling in sync. I would also say, divination. I absolutely love divination through the reflection of cards. So tarot is just awesome. Oracle. Or they could be signs and synchronicities in the skies, the stars, or even omens. So I really enjoy that aspect of connecting with myself and my practice magically. And I find that's all around me and readily available. And it's really easy, which is probably why I love it. I think magic doesn't have to be very complicated. We can make it complicated if you want to. But for me, I just enjoy the simplicity that a direct connection with my magic can provide. Number 8, what is your least favorite part of your practice? And I would say my least favorite part of my practice is cleanup. So like after I do a ritual, and I'm not super into ritual, like my rituals are few and far between. They're very specific, and I tend to be, it's just not something I do a lot of. Again, I keep things very simple and natural and in the flow and a part of what I do. But cleaning it up. I really love making herbal talismans. So it's kind of like the putting everything back. That's kind of a bummer. And honestly, like altars, I love to set up my altar and I love to rearrange it, but it can become so overwhelming, the idea of taking everything off the altar in order to rearrange it, that sometimes it doesn't get changed for a while. And so I'm like, wow, I really need some energetic freshness here in my home. Yeah, cleanup for sure. I've heard others of you say that out there, that cleanup is kind of a bummer. Number 9, how do you feel your practice has grown over time? That is such a big question. So a little bit about me, I think understanding how I view magic would kind of answer this question, in that I feel that magic is present in every practice that we have, as long as we're turning towards that. And that is the thread of life, the spark that's within us, that is divine consciousness linked with our will. To me, that's magic, when we're having that moment of coming together, and that And so I have had different expressions of that and even different practices. Like as a child, I was super imaginative and off in my own world. I was an only child. I'm Generation X. So I was what was called a latchkey kid. My mom worked. I was home alone a lot. And so my world, I had like a very insular world. I went to a private school, and when I got home from school, I was all alone. And I didn't have kids in the neighborhood to play with. So that sounds kind of a bummer, but it was really great because I had this amazing plum tree that I was super friends with as a kid. And I was really into building things, and I had pets, and I just had a real imaginary world. So I think magic for me then, sorry you guys, I'm having like this up and down light because of the clouds out here. It's almost spring in Oregon, so that's the way it is. Sun and then clouds and sun and clouds. Then I was out on the road for a while following the Grateful Dead as a teenager and into my early 20s. And then, I had my kids, and I went through kind of a pagan and goddess only stage, and my magic was sort of there, and I was delving into the feminine and my ideas of what it meant to be feminine. So I was finding my magic in that expression of self. And then I actually became a Christian for a little while, and I really got into this esoteric Jesus. And so I was discovering my magic in there, and of course that didn't work out for me. For those of you I'm not dissing on Christianity at all, but it wasn't a fit for me. But there were some wonderful esoteric things that I got out of my relationship with Jesus and angels that are irreplaceable. So I was learning about that kind of magic, about particularly seeing in the spirit, seeing in other worlds, and actually traveling to other worlds and being able to decipher that and decipher energies and spirits. That's what I really learned when I was in the church, and everybody always used to say, "You're a Christian witch." So there was that kind of magic. And then I came out of that, and I really came into kind of the metamorphosis that I'm moving into now, the last decade, of understanding my magic through relaxing into myself and trusting what's in me. And so each phase has taught me something different. None is better than the other, although I'm really liking where I'm at right now. I hope everybody here feels free to just be in their magic, however it appears to them in this moment, and allow that to be your practice instead of hemming yourself into a world of have-tos and shoulds. That to me does not release magic. Number 10, is there a show or movie that inspires you? Oh, so very many. I'm loving Discovery of Witches. Practical Magic is amazing. I love all the Harry Potter movies. I like darker things like Lemony Snicket's. I really loved Thomasina as a kid. That's an old Disney movie, and Pollyanna. And I feel like those were very magical movies that inspired me. Pollyanna, especially, again, about perseverance and choosing to stay in joy. I really loved her magic. That was like amazing. And then Thomasina, of course, the Witch in the Woods was like amazing. I absolutely loved her. Just the total natural green witch, very inspirational. If you haven't seen Thomasina, I actually own it on disc. It's amazing, and it's a great movie, as is Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and even Mary Poppins. So, anything like that. As far as books go, I love things like Mists of Avalon. Last year I did Mists of Avalon and Circe and a couple others, the Wondersmith books. I like young adult fiction a lot to keep me lighthearted and in a magical place. Whatever does it for you, I say dive into that. If it inspires you and puts you in that magical place, it's a good thing. 11, do you have a familiar? So I have a totem animal that I work with in the spirit, like in my travels. I had a familiar, and he died a little over a year ago. He was 19. But I do have 4 cats and 2 dogs and 11 chickens. And I have, 17 acres of land. So I've got woods. I live on the river. I feel like trees are familiars to me. I have certain trees that I visit that I'm with a lot, and they really teach me. I know that's not a traditional idea of a familiar. Maybe you just call those teachers. So I think there's a magic in just like my land and getting my hands in the dirt and even certain areas of the land and what that teaches me. Number 12, would you recommend any YouTube channels? Well, yes, I would. So for really just like lighthearted stuff and that's beautifully presented, I really like the Witch's Cookery. She's just fun, and she's over in Germany. So I love her accent. Saturnarian, I recently discovered her, and she does tarot but also magic, and she's down in Brazil, and I love her accent too. And I'll have these down below in the description box. Alvine, I think what I like about her is that she's just really straightforward and very upfront with who she is, and so I really appreciate her shoot from the hip style, that she's very straightforward, and I really appreciate that a lot. Lastly, Atypical Tarot. I love his channel. I love his take on things. He does tarot cards and equates them to the periodic table, and he talks about tarot and goes in depth. And I just really enjoy the way his mind thinks and how he kind of spurs me to think about the cards differently. Number 13, name something that you must do for your mental health or your practice daily. So for me, I think the biggest thing that just never ever shifts for me is that every morning when I wake up, before I get out of bed, when I'm laying there, I do just some serious gratitude. I really dive into a heart space of gratitude for the day and for what I have. I do that again, like, I know that this sounds kind of weird, but breakfast, I've really dialed in food in my life. Food is like super important to me. I don't eat meat or dairy. And so I've just really dialed in my food, what makes my body feel good, thank God, because I mean, like I've talked about this a lot lately, but I'm gonna be 50 here on April 3rd. And I feel better than I ever have in my life, really. So breakfast in the morning, it's really important. And when I do my breakfast, it's very ritualistic. I, again, I go into a heart of gratitude, and I'm thankful for the day. I also do a prayer at that time where I offer up my heart to the universe and to Gaia, and I'm grateful. And then if I have any requests, I make it at that time. And I sit at my dining room table and I look out my window. I have southern exposure there, and I just look at everything. The other thing is that I wake up before the sunrise and I watch the sunrise. And so it's a rare day that I don't do that. I have to be absolutely exhausted not to do that. But that's a huge deal for me, is to get up and watch the sunrise, and if it's not too cold, to go outside and watch the sunrise and allow myself to really commune with nature and to greet the day and to kind of let my heart sing a morning song to the earth and to my day and to myself. And I think these things are huge. I think these are the things that I've really, really dialed in my life that make a very, very big difference. In the summer, I will spend my morning time outside with my feet on the ground. And usually every morning I start the day off by learning something. Like I will do a snippet out of a book or a short video that teaches me something that is positive and uplifting and allows me to move into a space that sets the flow for the day. So those are the kind of the biggies, and a lot. And it was kind of interesting to look at this question and realize that I've done a lot of work to groove these practices, and it took me a long time to find things that really felt right for me and really gave me the most bang for my buck. 14, what's something that started as an obstacle but you now see as a blessing? So I'm going to go back to my whole color thing and just my attitude on life. I feel like every now is totally designed for me, and there's magic in every moment. And so when I find myself having friction against something in my life, I realize that there is a blessing inherent in that it is creating contrast in my life. It is creating a crisp picture for me within my soul. It tells me where I'm at and what I desire, what I'm reaching for, and also what is available to me. So that's kind of my philosophy. And in that moment, I can choose to really release my magic. So I feel like it's just so many to even ever name in my life. But, you know, I was homeless as a teenager. I was a single parent for 17 years. I definitely know about hardship, and it has been an incredible blessing that has grown me into my character, because I'm the type of person that chooses to not just survive, but to thrive. So whatever moment you're in, if somebody out there needs to hear this, you know, there's so much magic in your now. There's so much magic available to you, especially in the moments of contrast, especially in the moments of difficulty and friction. That's where you really get to flex your muscles and figure out how it is that you can release your magic. 15, which do you prefer, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok? I barely Facebook. TikTok's a bit of a time sucker, and I find posting on there is annoying because I need to post all the time, and so I just don't really do it that much. Instagram, I was on there a lot, but I just don't like it anymore. I don't like this attitude. I feel like this does not create focus. I feel like it is a ripoff. I feel like it is training people. It's a little bit of a rant, you guys, I'm sorry. But I feel like it's training people to be dissatisfied all the time instead of really being present with who they are and everything wonderful that's happening for them. And I also think it creates an unfair perspective. So it's YouTube. I love YouTube. I think I can learn and I can really choose things that edify me and build me up in my inner goddess and take me into places that grow me and inspire me. So I love YouTube. Number 16, what's something that you feel like is missing from your witchy community? I really had to think about this one. So I kind of feel like we're all witches here. We're all reading page 67 of the Book of Life from our own angle. And so I try to embrace the people around me as fellow witches. However, I will say this, I wish that I had more of an in-person community. And especially with COVID, just hasn't been much gathering. I have just such a beautiful place out here to be doing full moon gatherings or new moon gatherings. I prefer new moons, but I like to do them alone. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting over this hump and being able to invite people back so that I can enjoy other people's vibration, other people's magic, and enjoy just spending time in physical space with them and growing from that experience. 17, how much space do you use for your supplies and spell work? So first of all, I have a spirit room out here and it's like 13 by 18 or something. So this is all just me out here that you see. So it's my own space. It's completely my own energy. I really don't have anybody in here but my pets. I do have altars in the house, and I have a whole cabinet, a whole closet in there with herbs and all my herbal crafting supplies. So a lot of space. But also, like, my entire land is a space for me. So I'm really, really blessed in this way that I have this much space to call my own and to really enjoy. 18, how many altars do you have? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. Kind of one that's like a 7. So yeah, I think 7 altars. I've got kind of a seasonal altar in here, and I've got a working altar. You guys, my working altar is so simple and so sparse. I really don't like much of anything on there. It's like 4 elements and that's pretty much it. Maybe a spell candle or a charm of some kind. I'm really into charms and enchantments. I like enchanting objects. So yeah, I have a money altar. I have an ancestral altar. I have an entry altar that just kind of, it's a protection and entry altar that I switch up. I haven't switched it up in a while. I'd say like twice a year. I do that. And then I have sort of a, oh God, an altar that looks like witchcraft threw up all over it. And that's a Thorn Mooney saying, by the way. Yeah, it's got everything on there. I really need to clean that off. And then I have a space in the window where I keep my draw for the week, my tarot card draw for the week, so that I look at it repetitively. So that's a lot of altars, but I really find that having these little sacred spaces in which to direct my consciousness is a lot of fun. 19, what's your favorite Sabbat? So I don't super celebrate the Sabbats, you guys. What I do is I have check-ins during those times of the year. And so there's kind of like a week there. So we just had Imbog, and you know, I had like a whole week or maybe more during that time, that sort of before and after, where I just kind of checked in with the energy and then really directed that energy in that way onto the land in my home. But I tend to like the lesser Sabbats a lot more. So that's really interesting. I don't know why, but I do. I really like the lesser Sabbats a lot. And of course, fall's my favorite. So I like Samhain, but I don't even necessarily practice on that night. I practice for like 3 or 4 days around that time, where I'm really check in. So I'm just much more of a seasonal person, I think. And a lunar person. I tend to check in with the new and the full and the quarter moons. Number 20, oh my God, we're almost there. If you've made it this far, you are so awesome. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up. Which do you prefer, tarot, oracle, pendulum, or runes? So I don't work with runes that much, but I think I probably will later in life. So it's hands down, you guys, it's tarot. You guys know that tarot is my thing. I love tarot. I'm totally into it. I'm very dedicated, especially this year in particular. I really chose, because last year I was a little bit distracted by astrology, and I really decided to just come back to tarot and really hone my skills there. I feel I'm very gifted in that way, and I just decided this year that I was going to kind of pull out the stops and the distractions and make tarot my thing. So, yep, tarot, hands down. 21, are you out of the broom closet? This is an interesting one. Kind of yes and no. I'm a really like, what you see is what you get. I'm not super into labels. So I don't even know that I would label myself a witch. I'm a magical being here on this earth, as are all of us. And I feel like labels can become a part of separation consciousness. And I'm really shy away from that, because I don't want to judge you. And I don't even want to judge myself. But that being said, I was in the church for a while, and I was really well known among my friends as a very prophetic person and very looked to in that way. And so it's not like I've come out to these people, but it's really obvious that I'm not a part of church. So in that way, it's kind of like a no. I wouldn't shove that in people's faces, and that's because I don't want to stumble them. I don't want them to think about the ways in which they took counsel from me, or that we had fellowship together. I don't want them to feel weird about that. I don't want them to be stumbled or feel like, I don't want them to be thinking that I'm demonized and start directing that stuff at me. So in that way, I haven't announced it, but if they've been to my Facebook page, then they can see what I'm into. They can see my videos. They've seen the way that I've gone. And I do have friends. I do have one friend. I have one friend that was my best friend, one of my best friends when I was in church, and he's still a great friend and totally knows where I'm at. And We can still talk about Jesus, who I absolutely think is super groovy, you guys. Jesus is amazing. He's a great prophet and he's a great counselor in the truest sense of the esoteric Jesus. So yeah, that's a weird one. What you see is what you get. This is me, and I'm really not going to hold back, but I'm not going to try to shove anything on you because I'm not into shock value. I don't need that kind of attention. I'm really into meeting people where they're at and loving them in the ways that I feel like they're ready to be loved, because I feel like that's a two-way flow and that's a part of my magic. So that's a lot of how I approach life. So this broom closet thing is really interesting. I wouldn't shove it on anybody if I thought it was really going to stumble them or frighten them. Number 22. Oh my gosh, if you made it this far, you are an actual rock star and probably a regular here on my channel. So who are you going to tag in this video? I am going to tag Saturnarian because I really want her to do this video. I'm super hoping you're going to do this video. That would be really cool. And I'm going to tag the Witch's Cookery as well and see if she does this video, because I would love to hear some of her answers on this. Wow, you guys, if you made it this far, thanks so much for being here, and I really appreciate all of you. If you like this video, go ahead and check out some of my other videos over here, and maybe you want to see how I read tarot. It's a little different than the way other people do it. We all have our own style, but that's my other channel over there where you can find readings. And until we meet again, happy casting.